Today we are making an Arkansas possum pie. Now I'm not talking about one of these. This girl's not having a Granny Clampett moment in her kitchen. So hang out. Let's get started on this recipe. Okay guys, let's get this possum pie started. So I've got 3/4 cup of flour for the shortbread cookie crust, 3/4 cup of chopped pecans, and 1/4 cup brown sugar. I'm going to give that a nice little stir around. Then I'm going to come and add 1/2 cup of melted butter. Mix all that up really good. Now, let's get this crust in my pie pan. So I've sprayed down my pie pan with non-stick spray. Pour all this in here. Just gonna spread it out. Squash it down. Make sure I get every part of this pan covered on the bottom. Kind of get it evened out. Now, I'm going to put this in a 350-degree oven for about, my oven cooks fast, so 15 to 20 minutes, or until it starts turning brown around the edges. And then we'll go from there. Alright guys, so the crust is done. It went for about 17 minutes in my oven. See how it's turned brown around the edges? That's exactly what you're looking for. I'm going to let it sit here and cool, and then we will start on the first layer of this possum pie. Okay, so now we're going to start on the first layer. I've got 6 ounces of softened cream cheese, 2 tablespoons of heavy cream, 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. Now, I'm going to let this go until it is smooth. Which will take a little bit. Let it mix for a while, then get you a spatula and scrape the sides, scrape it out of the beater, put it back down and let it go again. I like my cream cheese smooth and not lumpy. So I'm willing to spend a little bit extra time. Alright, so crust is cool. First layer is whipped up nice and creamy. So I'm going to put that down. And we're just going to give it a good spread around on the crust. Make sure it's nice and evened out best we can here. I am not one of these people who can get all fancy with their spreading jobs. Right, now let's move on to the next layer, which we're going to have to go over to the stove for that. Okay, so the next layer we're going to put our sugar, our cocoa, our cornstarch, flour, just a bit of salt, I'm going to give that a whisk, kind of mix it up and send up a cloud of powder. Alright, so next I'm going to put my egg yolks, which is right here, in with my milk. I've got 3 egg yolks up in here. I'm going to give that a mix. Then I'm going to pour it in to my dry mixture. Start mixing. Turn it up on to medium heat. Constantly mixing it until it begins to thicken and bubble, which is going to take about 7 to 10 minutes. Now I'm not going to make y'all sit there and watch all of this, so we'll be back in a few. Okay, so the pudding is now starting to thicken and it's starting to bubble. But one thing I learned from Miss Lori on Whippoorwill Hollow channel, y'all need to check her out, she's got some fantastic content, is you don't want to wait and just until it's bubbling and pull it off. Make sure it's the consistency that you want it before you pull it off, because if you automatically pull it off sometimes when the recipe calls for it, your pie is not going to set up. So, because everything and everybody's stove and everybody, it just does not cook the same. So make sure you've got a really, really good thick consistency before you pull it off of the heat. Look at that rich, thick, creamy chocolate pudding. That's pretty much where I want it. So I'm going to pull it off. We're going to move over here. Look at those dirty burners. Anybody have any tips on how to get this stuff off of your stove on the burner? I understand the spill part will come off, but like the stuff around the rings, I've bought the expensive stuff. I've tried baking soda. I'm about to be just frustrated and give up. Okay, so move my pudding off the heat. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. Teaspoon of vanilla. Give that a stir until it melts. Which it already has. So now what I'm going to do is get a piece of plastic wrap. And I'm going to put it down in my pan to where it just lays on top of my pudding. That keeps your pudding from getting that old nasty film on it. Then I'm going to set this in the fridge for about 30 minutes and let it cool down. Okay, so we got our pudding cooled down. I'm going to take off the plastic. Anyway. And pour it on top of the cream cheese layer. Make sure it's all spread out. Now we can move on to the very last layer. Alright, so for the final layer, I put a half cup of heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, about a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to mix that up until it starts foaming, or becomes foamy. So we'll give that a few minutes. Alright, so we got our whipped topping done. I want to dab that out. And it doesn't make a whole bunch, so going to spread relatively thin. then we're going to add the finishing touches. Which is some chopped pecans and some chocolate chips. So there you have it, Arkansas possum pie. It's just about time to cut a piece. Alright guys, let's cut this pie. There you have it, Arkansas possum pie. I hope you've enjoyed this recipe. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see y'all Tuesday.